Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. Today I have come with another new interesting topic, that is startup versus big tech giant multinational company. Yes, there is a lot of confusion in fresher student mind that whether they will join a startup in their early career or they will join in a multinational company. What are the benefits of joining in startup and what are the some benefits of joining in multinational company? What is about the job security? So today in this video I am going to discuss everything, yes, everything related to startup versus this big tech giant company. So if you have the same confusion in between startup and big company, then this video is going to be for you. So without wasting your time, let's get start with the video. In this startup versus big tech giant company or big giant company, the first comparison is going to be selection process. Yes, from selection process we all start our journey. So the first comparison is going to be the selection process. The selection process of startup and the selection process of this big tech giant company are generally a little bit of different, because when a tech giant company is hiring you, at that time the first point that will be in their mind is that your thought process, whether you are able to solve a problem or not. So mainly they will see your DSA skill, your problem solving skill, and your communication skill, whether you are able to communicate with other or not. But as compared to that big company, if you are interviewing for any startup, at that time their first priority is your work, what you have done before, because they will try that when you will join from the first day you will be contributing to their project. So that is their main motto. So for this reason, in the selection process, they will select those candidates who have the experience in project and who have done something. They will see that what project you have done, what is the DevOps knowledge you have, what development you have done, what problem you have faced, how you solve those problems. These are the main criteria of selection of the startup, because they want you will join and you will start working. But in case of this big multinational company, they will always try that how you thought, what is your think process, how whether you are able to solve a problem or not. In generally in that big multinational company, they have the budget to hire you and then train you. So here when you are going to join in a multinational company, they will generally see you that problem solving skill, they will hire you, then they will train you as per their tech stack or as per their technology that they are using. So this is one of the major difference between startup and big multinational company. After this hiring process or after this selection process, the next point is your training. Yes, what I am telling that is the common scenario. I am not telling that it will be definitely going to happen. This is the common scenario in between startup and big MNC. So in training, when you will be joining in a startup, at that time the training period will be less as compared to this big MNC. Here you will get 1 week training or 15 days training max to max. But in that big MNC, they have their own tech stack, they have their own language. So there, when you will be joining in a big MNC, your training period will be like greater than this startup training period. And the most important thing is that big MNC has the power to sustain you. They will be able to provide you the salary without any work. So here the training period will be much more bigger or much more time consuming than this startup training period. That is one of the major difference between startup and big MNC. In that big MNC, they will mainly work on their own tech stack. Generally, in general case, there will be their own own technology, there will be their own tech stack. But in generally, the startup will be working on some like common tech stack that is available in the market. That is one of another difference between startup and this big MNC. Yes. Now the next point is what? Yes, it's learning. The next point is going to be learning. So what you think, in which company you will get more learning exposure? There is a startup, there is a big MNC. So suppose I am telling a story. You are joining in a startup, and in that startup the number of employees less, but the amount of work that is to be done is huge. So at that time a lot of responsibility will come to you, and by the time, after handling all those responsibility one by one, sometime doing some mistake, and with all this process, ultimately at the end you will learn that thing, that how a business work, how to solve a bug, how to solve a code if it's like breaking in the production. You will be able to handle everything. But as compared to this startup, if you are joining in a multinational company, at that time there is a huge number of good employees there. They are really good, and if any problem happens in like production of or in any other field of the company, at that time first priority will be that older employee. You will not be the first priority. So here you will get responsibility, some part of the responsibility, but not the whole one. So here the learning will be not so good as compared to the startup. This is the common scenario, and this is also dependent on your team, because it may happen that in startup you are getting a very old team, there are a lot of employees there, so at that time your learning will not be so good. But suppose it may happen that in big MNC you got a totally new team, in new features they are developing, so here also you will get a startup culture, your learning will be good. It's like sometimes it's also depend on the team, that how the team is working, what is the task of the team, what feature you are developing. But in general case, the learning of a startup will be much greater than the learning of a big MNC. In that big MNC, all the problem, all the responsibility will be given to a senior person, because a huge chunk of people is using that big MNC thing, or a big client is using that big MNC's product. So at that time the big MNC will not try or will not give the big responsibility to a fresher student. But here, as compared this startup, a small bunch of people or a small bunch of client is using this product. So at that time automatically you will get the responsibility, because they don't have that big manpower or that big senior employee who will be taking care of everything. So learning will be definitely greater in this startup area. Now we already know that what is the difference between startup and the big multinational company, what are the positive point you are going to get from this company, and what are the some negative point over there, you also have learned about that. Now the next thing that is coming in your mind back, because we already have entered inside the company, so the next thing that is salary. Yes, a lot of people are thinking that where the salary will be much like greater. So here I am telling that suppose a big tech product based company is there, product based company. So when a startup is a product based company, their salary will be less than this big tech fang or mang level product based company. And if you are comparing service based company, at that time in big MNC the salary will be slightly greater than this startup. That is the common scenario. But nowadays in some case some startup product based company are paying 2x 3x amount of this fang or mang level big product based company. I know that that is some of exceptional case. But as compare like if we take the general case between this big MNC versus this startup, the startup will lagging something like a little bit, it will lag, it will be little bit lower than this big MNC. Now the next point is your growth, because you have already entered inside the company, you are getting salary, so the next point is your growth that is coming in your mind. So where the growth will be better than the other, where the growth will be maximum. In startup, the manpower is less. So here you are handling huge responsibility. So here the chances of growth will be much better than this big MNC. But in that big MNC, there is a hierarchy like SD1, SD2, SD3, huge hierarchy is there. So here the growth will be limited because from A position you will go in B position. From B position you will go in C position. This is the like fixed hierarchy. But as compared in this startup, if you are working too good, at that time your growth will also be 2x 3x kind of thing, because here you are handling big thing, you are handling a lot of responsibility. You are not only master in only one field, like suppose if in a big MNC you are doing coding, that means you are doing coding. But in this startup, if you are doing coding, you are also designing, you are also thinking that in which approach I will solve that problem, you are also finding bug, you are testing, you are doing everything, you are like one hand person. So here the growth will also be better than this big MNC. This is the common scenario. There is exceptional case in both these cases, but this is common, so don't take it personally. Now the last but not the least point is job security. So where, what you think, where the job security will be maximum? In that big multinational company, they have a huge chunk of employee. They are already doing their business from couple of decades ago. They have started their business. They are running well, so they hire you. So here, there will the job security will be better than this startup. And this startup is now only in like experimental phase. So at that time the job security will be less as compared to this big multinational company, because here they are not sure that whether they will work definitely or not, or if it's working now, if some competitor comes and they are providing that service in like huge amount of less cost, at that time it will also hamper the business of this startup. So in this startup culture, sometimes the job security is less as compared to this big multinational company, because the big multinational company is a huge big tree. They have a lot of other branches also, but this is a small grass. So the job security is definitely going to be like less as compared to this multinational company. So that is one of the valid difference in between startup culture and that big MNC culture. So I think you have got all the point between this big multinational company versus this startup, and you know that what is happening inside this industry. So the next question that is making confusion in your mind, that there is a lot of pros and cons of this startup, there is also a lot of pros and cons of this big industry. So what should I join? Yes, you are thinking that whether I have both the offer from big MNC and big startup, so where I need to join to get the maximum benefit. Okay, this is totally my personal opinion, so you can just go with this opinion. You can be like in opposite of this opinion, but yes, this is my personal opinion. If you are in your early career, you have just graduated and you are working, like you are entering into the professional world, at that time my suggestion would be join a startup, because here your learning will be huge, your growth will be huge, and when you are a like beginning 22 years old, 23 years old, at that time your job security will not be like so vital point, because your family is not dependent on you. Here the main factor will be your learning, that how much you know the industry. So when you are in your early career, my suggestion will be join in a startup and learn. Don't just think that somehow I will get the salary, somehow I will just pass my days. Don't think in this way. Go there and learn that what is happening, how they are solving the problem. And if you are in your middle age or you have a lot of family responsibility, your job security is on priority than your growth, your learning, at that time go for this MNC. So after age of 30, after age of 35, when the total family is on you, dependent on you, your first priority will be your job security. Go for MNC. There is no option of joining in a startup. Go for that MNC. That will be your first priority. But in your early career, when your learning is your first priority, go for this startup. Because if that startup fail, you lost your job, you will be able to take another opportunity. You have the time, you have the buffer, because you have no responsibility. So that is one of my suggestion to you. You may agree with this point, you may not, but it's my suggestion. So I hope you got every point in between this startup and this big tech giant or that multinational company. Every point is clear to you that what is happening, and what is the pros and cons of this startup, what is the pros and cons of this big MNC. I hope you are able to take a wise decision that in which type of company you are going to join. So think about that. And if you have any query in your mind that how to solve this and where to join, then you can just reach out to me over there in LinkedIn. You can comment out and I will be super happy to help you. And if you like this video, please like it, and if you see this face again and again and again, please subscribe the channel. So bye bye for this time. See you in the next video. Bye.